Okay, we've given everyone a few minutes, so I think it's time to get going. So good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. I'm Felicity Dudley, Senior Marketing Manager at ForwardPMX. For those who are not familiar with us, ForwardPMX are a global brand performance agency who helps clients find a change that fuels growth. We're so delighted to have you here, and we hope you've all been keeping well and staying safe. Today, we're going to be talking about digital skills in China with a deep dive into Baidu. APAC has long been considered an area of opportunity, but also of great complexity for brands and marketers. ForwardPMX have been selected by Baidu, China's largest search engine, to facilitate training on the platform and help brands attack the opportunities in the important APAC region. And we're here to help you better understand how to use Baidu's tools in order to engage local consumers relevantly and effectively. So for today's session, we're going to have about an hour and a half minutes of content, with polls throughout the session to get a sense of your current marketing strategy and how we can best support you. If at any point you do have a question throughout the session, please feel free to use the Q&A feature in Zoom, and we'll come back to them towards the end of the session or follow up with you at a later time. So from here, I'm going to pass over to Yan Fraud, our Regional VP of APAC and Russia, who's going to introduce you to our session leaders today.
Thank you, Felice. So this is Yan speaking. So I have been working in ForwardPMX for over 10 years, specialized in luxury, travel, and also software B2B industries. It has been great to having you today, and thank you so much for attending this session. So I believe many of you has been or preparing to have some Chinese campaigns launched in these markets. I guess you're already aware of this market, the dynamic, the complex, because it's not Google-centric market. All the platforms actually are local players. And then also the consumer journey is very complicated as well. So ForwardPMX has been actually helping brands to expand and develop their businesses in China for over a decade. And then for search particularly that we're talking about today, we are the certified agency and we the official partner for the training sessions for Baidu as well, to support brands as much as possible we can to drive the success in this market. So from today's session, you will be expecting to have a top view explanation of the digital landscape, including a light touch of the COVID-19 impact, as well as a good understanding of the key advertising features on Baidu. So Claire and Ziyi, as you can see from this slide, these two key speakers today, both have been working with me very closely for over 5 years, and they both have a rich digital experiences to develop our clients' China strategy and drive performance. So they are also the official Baidu training specialists, have been supporting hundreds of learners to take Baidu official exams in Europe, especially. So let's get started. Pass it to you, Claire.
Thank you, Yan. Feel free to let me know if you can see me on the camera. Okay, cool. So thanks, Yan and Felice, for the introduction. So I'm Claire, and as Yan just introduced, I'm the account manager at ForwardPMX, and I've been working in the industry for over 6 years now. So we're just gonna start with the session today. Cool. Yeah. So before we actually get into the content, so we're just going to start with a very quick overview of the digital landscape in China. So the first thing, sorry, next slide. So the first thing that makes China actually such a unique market for the digital world is that it is completely dominated by the local platforms, meaning they're likely to be more related to the local users' behavior, and the products developed can be better fit into the users' daily lives with more local insights as well. And so if we take the search engine as shown on this slide as our first example, we can see that actually more than 94% of the market share is occupied by the locals, with Baidu, the main search engine, driving 72% of the market share. While, as we can see, like many other search engines here, there is one that's worth mentioning, Sogou, who is also powering the search engine, the search function of the biggest social media platform in China, which is WeChat. It is accounting for nearly 20% of the market share today. And some of you might be more familiar with the Western platforms such as Google, that is obviously most widely known in other parts of the world, is actually blocked in China market since 2010. And Bing, on the other hand, has less than 3% of the market share. So that's why when the global platforms such as Bing and Google doesn't actually work in the market anymore. So a tailored and localized strategy is extremely important. And it is definitely something that every brand needs to think about before entering into China market. So now let's zoom out a little bit bigger and take a look at the consumer journey here. So similar to the West market, there are many platforms people use for different purposes. So typically, like the logos that you see here can be categorized as like video platforms, content, or social media platform, or even like down to search engines, e-commerce giants, travel OTA, and kind of like review and marketplaces. So these channels basically has covered every need of a Chinese customer's digital footprint. So whether consciously or not, we always bring a purpose when we land on these digital media touchpoints. Now, actually the complex situation here is that you might not be familiar with most or like any of these logos, as there isn't any kind of like a global giants that is used widely in China. So the user purpose of these platforms might be very similar to the West, but the detailed functions can be quite different. So their interface or menu are specifically designed for Chinese users, as we mentioned before, which can sometimes cause the confusions to international advertisers a lot of the times. So in this session, we're going to bring you all the top points that you need to know about the biggest search engine in China, which is Baidu. So if we move on, before we start, let's open up with our first question today. So the question is, how is your business performing so far in 2020? So you can answer this in the poll that is going to show up on your screen. Now, this actually might be kind of like a struggle to answer, as the majority of us and the business is going through probably the biggest change in numbers that we probably ever seen in the last decade or even longer because of COVID-19. So yeah, feel free to kind of like vote in here. Have you seen your business going up or going down, or kind of like you're seeing a similar trend compared to last year? It doesn't matter which business you're on, just kind of like a very top line gist would be fine. So that we'll be able to kind of like have a feeling of how the overall business has been performing, like when we are heading to Q3 in 2020 this year. Yeah, so now we have kind of like the poll results out, and it's showing like basically 67% of you are witnessing your business going down, while 33% of you are seeing business being picked up, which is a very good sign, and 17% of you are seeing similar to last year. So if we move on to the next slide. So what we're trying to say here is that actually the outbreak of the pandemic this year has certainly brought many challenges to the industry, and also the side effects of the pandemic are becoming obvious. So for example, you might see the growth rate of most companies has decreased, slowing down, or some of them can't even make it through during this difficult time. And second of all, there are so many market uncertainty that has definitely increased hugely, and the business development became like very unpredictable for most companies as well. And last of all, some industries such as travel even had a negative growth rate this year, and it's likely to continue. However, we believe that sometimes challenges can bring opportunities as well. So how we react to the change will play a very big role for the business in the next 5 or even 10 years. And next slide, please. Yeah, and today, more than 6 months after the outbreak, so China, as the first country to get into COVID-19, and now one of the first country to kind of like get out of it, we want to look into what's happened in the market for the past few months and what has changed. So since February this year, we've noticed a very interesting data. So if we look on the chart here, online shopping actually has a very high correlation with COVID-19's trend. And this is not specifically to online retail business, as this has been expanded to almost all kinds of categories. So for example, we saw more than 200 or 215% increase in sales of fresh food on Chinese e-commerce platform JD.com. And the sales for a health product, on the other hand, has increased for more than 640%, which is kind of like a very big difference compared to pre-pandemic time. And these are the categories that usually sells better offline than online, but this has obviously changed along with COVID-19. So as a result, we can see that digitalization has become an urgent task for every brand in 2020. And from the data we see, Chinese customers are highly digitalized, and it's also easier for them to adopt online shopping behavior. If we move on, yeah. And as of today, like 6 or 7 months after the pandemic now, we're seeing over 90% of the business, hotels, shopping malls have reopened in China, and 71% of students have returned back to school. Restaurants, on the other hand, has recovered to 70% of the pre-pandemic level. All these good signs are seen really optimistic on an offline perspective. But how about online business? So next slide, please. Yeah, so despite having very strong e-commerce business such as Tmall and all other kinds of marketplaces, we still see a great dip when the outbreak just started, as we can see on the left-hand side. And it took around 12 weeks to gradually getting things back to normal. However, after that, what we're seeing after the COVID is that the pandemic had also strengthened the Chinese users' online shopping behavior, as we mentioned. So people started to shop for more verticals and categories online. So for example, FMCG products, live goods has seen a substantial growth compared to the same time last year. And now if we move on to the travel industry, so it is yet another business that was hit probably the most by COVID-19. And with the international flights still restricted, we're seeing the domestic travel in China has recorded a booming increase since April, and the recovery rate has hit to nearly 70% around May, showing kind of like a very optimistic picture for the overall travel industry. And last of all, for luxury goods, yeah, so due to the overseas traveling is still on pause, the luxury industry globally would also be influenced a lot, as actually 1/3 of the global luxury goods were purchased by Chinese customers before. And after COVID-19, the Chinese luxury shoppers has turned to the domestic market, and we've seen many top brands react quickly about this trend. So if we move on to the next slide. Here are some very quick examples here. So we are seeing Hermes pulls in $2.7 million in one day due to offline events. And Chanel had a seasonal sale back in June. And Tiffany even recorded a 90% year-on-year increase in terms of the sales. Again, these are kind of like extreme cases and cannot be applied to all retail or even brands. And you might notice that this behavior was encouraged due to limited stock or price-driven promotions. This will not last too long, and it is certainly not a revenge spending. So if we move on, obviously we saw not only changes in the market, but more importantly, how has the customers changed, react as we move after the post-pandemic period. So during the COVID, we saw groceries and health products like essentials had the highest attention by individual consumers. but less people would actually focus to purchase on fashion products or adopting pets. So this has been kind of like a trend that's being seen across the globe. We also see that large electrical products had dropped on demand, mainly due to the limitation on delivery, while there are much less travel and social events happening offline now. As on the right-hand side, we can see a sharp increase on digital time spending, including social media, live streaming, and gaming, etc. So even after the COVID-19, the offline consumption has still declined year on year. So this is widely seen across all business, apart from pharmacy, as you can see from the right-hand side chart. So now you probably realize that digitalization is something that urgently need to be developed. But if we move on, but you might have questions on how to actually leverage the digital platforms in China. So we often receive different questions from international brands, and these questions could be basically summarized as three followings now. So the first thing is like, how to reach the target audiences precisely. So China is a market with more than 1.4 billion population. It is definitely not a small number. So whom do you want to target and how would be the first questions that often the brand wants to ask themselves and often come to us as well. And secondly, if you remember, we start this session with a very complex but typical consumer journey. So how to engage with them is the second mostly asked questions. And lastly, so how do you convert them on your website and further to increase the sales in the market? So with all these changes brought by the COVID, one thing we should learn is that we must view each market differently, and there should never be a strategy that would work for all, especially in China. The pandemic has definitely accelerated the digitalization process. And now the most important topic for overseas companies is how to expand in China properly and to embrace the transformation during this post-pandemic time. And being a window to the Chinese customers, Baidu could help to offer solutions by leveraging the technology. So next, I'm going to hand over to Z, who's our account manager and also the trainer specialist for Baidu online training, who will take you through the best practice of running Baidu campaigns in China from our experience.
Yeah, thanks, Claire. Hello from Z here. So in the next half part, I'm going to take you go through what's the basics of running digital ads with Baidu products. And we're going to focus on two main channels today, ACM and display. So before we're going to explore what's about Baidu ACM, we would like to know your management history about ACM accounts before. So have you managed any kinds of ACM accounts before? For example, like Google or Bing or Yahoo? So here's the question to just getting an idea about your knowledge of running ACM ads. No matter like currently you are managing an agency who help you to run the ACM ads, or you are run the ACM ads by yourself. So in this section, in the coming session, what I'm gonna take you go through will definitely help you to have a better idea of how to harness Baidu ACM ads and to improve your business in China. Cool. So as we can see, that's 89% of you have managed ACM accounts before, but still there's 11% haven't. So that's great. So because in the coming slides, when you will have a better idea, a better understanding about the Baidu ACM ads. But if any of you have questions about Baidu ACM, feel free to post in the Q&A or chat session of the Zoom meeting. So moving on to ACM. in this session, I'm going to show you what are Baidu ACM ads and PPC as the most imperative ads in Baidu ACM. As you know, like is one of the most important parts to be the most effective way to help you ensure the brand visibility in ACM channel. And I'm going to show you what are the most important things you should consider when whether you have run a Baidu PPC account before or you plan to have one. And then I'm going to explain to you how does Baidu PPC work to help you to achieve a better result for your business. So move on to the next slide. So here's the example of how Baidu PPC ads look like on both desktop and mobile. So as you can see, the format of Baidu PPC ads are quite different from Google. But same as Google PPC is keyword-oriented ads on the search engine result page, and is real-time bidding, meaning that you only pay for the click when a customer click on your ads. While as Google has been exploring the image powered extensions in the last few years, like the beta version of the image extension for PPC, or like discovery ads and the gallery ads, which sunsetted last year. So with Baidu PPC, there's more options that you can have in terms of ad formats. So moving on to the next slide. Depends on the objectives and needs you have for your business. Baidu offers different kinds of PPC ad formats for you to utilize. So Fengchao, which means the nest of Phoenix, is the platform where we manage Baidu PPC ads. So it's same as like Google AdWords. With different, so depends if your objective is branding or if you want to showcase your products to the customers, or you want to dynamically showcase your ads, or if you're trying to focus on conversion driven or to expand your traffic. There we have different solutions like offered by Baidu. And in the next slide, and you can see the examples of what we can utilize with Baidu PPC ad format. So if for branding purpose, you can use the video format, and if you would like to present to your customers that you of more product information, then you can use the Shantou standard ad format, which you can put on like 4 different product images with relevant links to the product pages to shorten the conversion path. And also there's a dynamic ad available where it depends on the based off the best performed site links of your account and to deliver a more better result of your PPC ad. And if you would like to drive leads or app download, there's also the ad format that you can leverage with Baidu. So apart from PPC, brand zone is a very important product or say ad in the ACM channel. So it's a premium ad format with fixed fee, depend on the search volume of the keywords that you would like to target on. So it's for brand keywords only, but the most advantage of this ad is that you can see it secures the first ad position of the search engine result page with the maximized ad space, because usually it takes up to 2/3 of the whole first screen. And together with Baidu PPC, usually you can cover the whole first screen. And the click-through rate of this brand zone usually can reach up to 50%, even higher. The only downside of this ad is the price is usually more expensive than if your budget is low. So we also have, because it's depending on the search volume of your brand keywords. If you are already very renowned, like some of the top brands worldwide or in China, then the cost efficiency wise, brand zone would be more higher than PPC. However, the total price for the brand zone would be also high. So if you have your brand awareness is still improving in China, then we also have a sub product called a mini brand zone, which it will be cheaper than this brand zone for you to leverage. And brand zone offers various types of ad format as well. So going to the next slide. So what about generic keywords? Because brand zone is for brand keywords only. There's also an ad called Landmark offered by Baidu, which is for generic terms only. It appears on the right-hand side of the search engine result page. It also secures the fed ad position to maximize the impression share of for generic terms. And you can have like several types of ad formats to choose as well. So here we just went through what types of Baidu ACM ads that you can leverage. And next, as I mentioned, that Baidu PPC is the most imperative one, as the most effective way for you to ensure your brand visibility, especially for brand keywords that you would sit at the lower funnel of your marketing strategy that help you deliver the most effective performance. So next, I'm going to show you what are the most important parts of having a Baidu PPC account to help you better either manage your Baidu PPC ads or to helping you to managing your agency on delivering a more efficient result of running Baidu PPC ad. And here's an account structure of Baidu PPC ad. As most of you have already run an ACM account before, so I'm sure that you're very familiar about what an account structure consists of. So moving on to the next slide. So in the context of PPC account, here are the different levels we can have in PPC account, including campaign, ad group, keyword, creative, and landing page. So for each level, Baidu kind of limits the number of the second tier you can have. So for example, in one account, you can have up to 100 campaigns, and that's different from Google PPC account. So it's very important that when you have so many, so very important when trying to promoting your products or your services, and then how you structure your account is vital to deliver the best result. So in the next slide, here are some suggestions in terms of how you can structure your campaigns. For example, you can like have you can structure your campaigns that based on the category of your products or your service, and then or you can have campaigns based on like specific marketing events or festival like Valentine's Day or like Double 11 festival in China. And also apart from that, for some of the campaigns that you have special schedule, like for example, you're probably going to run a like flash sale during a certain period, then you can have a specific campaign for that. And also you can have separate campaigns targeting in the locations you would prefer to. Moving on to the next slide. So after having an organized campaign structure, we are helping you to better driving the traffic to through the right audience. And within each campaign, it would be suggested that to better to group keywords by similar meaning and the same structure. This way that will help you to managing the bidding for different types of keywords more conveniently and efficiently. And also for each group of keywords, then you can write the creatives more relevant, and you can also do specific optimizations towards each group of keywords. Moving on to the next slide. So having all the keywords organized and categorized in a granular way, that helps you to having the right message towards the relevant audience. So how your keywords can be triggered to the customers. Comparing to Google, Baidu offers more variations of match type choice that you can use from a narrow reach to wide reach, from exact match to broad match. There's more choice that you can have from Baidu, which can help you to control your reach through the targeted keywords to your customers. And then in terms of creatives, the requirements of creatives is different from Google. If you have run Google, PPC ads before, then you will know you have 3 titles and 2 descriptions, and etc. But for Baidu, the requirement is different, as we only have 1 title and we have 2 descriptions with different limits of character length. So as you know, that when you showcase your creatives to your customers, you would have the creatives localized in Chinese, and usually 1 Chinese character takes 2 bytes comparing to an English character. So it's very important to consider while you present the creatives as to think about how many selling points and information you would like to put into the creatives, as it has a less character limitation than Google, to best gauge the interest of and attention of your customers. So moving on to the next part about how does Baidu PPC work. So after you have the account ready, you will definitely want to know like what can best help you to maximize the efficiency of running the PPC ad. So for Baidu PPC, so ad ranking is vital to have your ads showing as the most appealing position, and to have your customers' attention to And then what impacted the ad rank are bidding and quality score. So bidding is, as you know, is the max price that you would you're willing to pay for each click. And then quality score is a score that's reviewed by Baidu. So like this is something that you have seen in Google PPC as well. But so moving on to the next slide. So to ensure that you have the best cost efficiency, which meaning you pay the least for your ad, then it will be helpful if you have a higher quality score. So here are the 3 key factors that Baidu would evaluate when giving you the quality score for your keywords. And so the 3 main factors are CTR, click-through rate, and account historical performance and website quality. Before we explore further on CTR, account historical performance, meaning that if you have been keeping your account healthy and in positive performance, then for all the like new keywords or new campaigns you run in the account, they will have a positive impact on those new keywords and campaigns. And then for website quality, you will need to ensure that your website loads smoothly and you have a clear structure of your products or service in your website. This is not only affecting quality score, it's also very vital to customer experience as well, which determines your conversion rate. So for CTR, the 2 things impacting CTR are ad relevance and creative attraction. Moving on to the next slide. So for ad relevance, as you can see the example here, the way to improve your CTR is to make sure that the creatives for each group is highly relevant with the keywords in that ad group. Also, the content on the landing page with the creatives. And this is also would be helpful for you to deliver a better customer experience as well as a better quality score. And then next, in terms of creative attraction, so obviously, if your creative is more appealing, then you will get a higher click-through rate, and then hence, as a result, you can improve your overall quality score. So think about what information that you can put in the creatives. Here's the example in English for your better reference, but of course, for Baidu PPC, it would be normally in Chinese. So apart from the product information and product type, think about what the selling points and you can put into your creatives with the limitation of the length of the creatives. And then adding call to action, promotions, or like word of mouth reviews. And that's definitely going to help you to improve the CTR performance of your ads. And then eventually helping you to improve your cost efficiency. And then I'm going to share with you 2 case studies of how we have helping our clients to succeed in the China market through Baidu ACM. For the first one, it's from one of our luxury clients. No matter where you are from luxury industry or from like travel industry, or you probably have experienced this challenge before when you are running the ACMS in other platforms, like when resellers are bidding on your brand terms, right? So you are losing your brand traffic and revenue to the resellers. So this is the same situation from our client. their brand awareness is still improving. So with the current traffic from brand keywords, it's hard to achieve revenue growth. And so we helped our client to restructure their 15 ACM accounts in Baidu, have a more organized and structured account, and having the keyword groups in a more granular way. And to maximize the traffic from the brand keywords, we help them launch a mini brand zone to strengthen their brand image and to directly linking customers to the official channel. So as I mentioned earlier, mini brand zone would be a less expensive way if your brand awareness is not very high and you would like to secure your brand image in the Baidu search engine result page. And also we help the clients to expand their reach through generic and competitor terms. As a result, we're seeing a 97% growth in bookings and 107% improvement in revenue. Also 70% higher ROI. And then the next story is from another client with a more complex services. So they would like to gauge the traffic from a more up funnel audience through generic terms, but usually the competition from generic terms are fiercer, and the conversion rate usually is much lower through generic terms. So we helped our clients to leverage the DMP platform of Baidu, and we target on the audience who have searched the brand terms or competitors before, while the generic keywords. So as a result, by targeting the more the upper funnel audience with higher purchase intentions, we achieved 22% higher in CTR. And the bounce rate from this campaign reduced by 34%, as well as 16% growth in ROI. So here we just had give you a snapshot of how Baidu ACM works, what ads are available, and how can you deliver a best result by leveraging the main factors impacting your Baidu PPC ads. And before we moving on to the display session, we would like to know what are your objectives to run display campaigns. And while we are collecting the answers for the display question, do you have any questions in terms of Baidu ACM? If you do, feel free to post in the chat or Q&A channel in the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, just post them in the Q&A and we can read them out for you.
Yeah, sorry, okay. So for the first question, what are the key differences between Baidu and Google? So as you know, Google would be more text focused, and well, at least on the PPC ad, usually you would have like enhanced silencing, so call outs and etc. like text-focused extensions. While it's for Baidu, there's a lot of like media powered, including image and video extensions that you can utilize, which massively helping you to enhance your CTR performance. And that's also why like Google is also exploring this function as well. And secondly, yes, we can share the recordings of the presentation later. Cool. So we already got the results. So wow, it's quite even. So you would like to achieve both awareness, traffic, lead generation, and sales. So it seems like, yeah, all wanted. Sure. So moving on to the display section. Yeah. So comparing, sorry, going back to the, yeah. So as you know, usually search search channel is more like customers proactively searching for information, service, products, and on the other hand, display will be like brands, advertisers, trying to find the right customers and showcase the relevant products, information, messages to the relevant customers. So here are different types of display ads available from Baidu. And as you just shared with us that you would like to achieve like awareness or traffic and lead generation and sales as for your business. And next, I'm gonna explore further with you about the details and how we can better leverage this display ad. And before that, just wanted to share what are the most important factors we think it impacts the performance of display ads. So before we're talking about the final objective of sales, the two things we need to consider that will attract the customers to click on the display ads. So is your display ads eye-catching enough where it appear the customers to click on your display ad, or is it are the audience relevant to the product or services you are presenting to them? So when I'm running through the different types of display ads with you, I'm gonna relay back to this question, so help you better understand the capability of the display ads. So first, native ads. Moving on to the next slide. And next, yeah. So what is native ads? So it's like the in-feed ads in Facebook and Instagram, but it's not appearing only in one platform. Is for Baidu, native ads appears in the articles of news. This is owing to the uprising behavior of mobile reading, and Baidu grasped the opportunity and the understanding of the Chinese netizens' behavior in a very early stage. So Baidu launched the native ads back in 2016 with the advantage of covering 95% of Chinese netizens. Now Baidu native ads has 200 million daily active users. And next slide. And this is all owing to Baidu's capability of showing the personalized content to each audience. And this is powered by 2.2 million of content creators that Baidu partnered with. And next, we're going to explore detail into Baidu native ads. So what ad formats are available from Baidu native ads? You can have image formats, which can be large images, 3 images, single image, or gallery ads. And then you can also show video ads through native ads. And if you would like to drive, if your objective is to drive leads or app download, then you can also use the function as app download extension and the call button to help you drive that results. So how can we find the most relevant audience through native ads? So apart from demographic targeting, Baidu native ads is also available to target through long-term interest, customer keywords, or customer intent labels. And there's one thing very unique that you can target is through Tieba topics. So Tieba is the largest Chinese online community. It's similar to Reddit in the West market, but it's owned by Baidu. So you can also show the native ads on Baidu Tieba, and you can target by the Baidu Tieba topics. And also you can target by the categories of the articles you would like to, that your customer would be most interested in. And apart from that, you can also reach out to the customers by targeting on those who have preferred apps. So these are the capabilities of leveraging Baidu native ads and to reach out to your target audience. So next slide. So is native ads eye-catching? Yeah, it can be if you click on the slide. Yeah, and with the more granular targeting capability of Baidu native ads is definitely relevant, and it can help you to find the right customers. Next, move on to DSP ads. So DSP ads is similar to Google Display. If we move to the next slide. So Baidu DSP also like partner. So unlike Google, but Baidu DSP is more focused on the local inventory and partnered with the most popular platforms and websites in China. And so the targeting options of Baidu DSP ads is same as native ads. So you can better find your target audience precisely and through the local inventory. Moving on to the next slide. So for Baidu DSP ads, there's much more format that you can choose apart from like in-feed ads, video ads, and splash ads. So splash ad is the type of ad that you will pop up and when you open an app, and it covers a whole screen of mobile devices. And there's also interstitial ad and banner ad. And all of this can be leveraged when you run DSP ads through Baidu. So is DSP as eye-catching? It can be depends on what kind of creatives that you would like to show to the customer. but with the targeting options, it definitely can be relevant, and help you to achieve your objectives of driving either traffic or sales or leads. And next, splash ads. And moving on to the next slide. As I just explained, the splash ads is the ad that will appear on your whole screen when you open an app. The one we just introduced for DSP ads was for will only appear on those partnered inventory platforms or websites. But for the Baidu splash ad, it harnessed the premium resource of Baidu apps. So the Baidu splash ads will show on all Baidu owned apps, including mobile Baidu, Baidu Map, Baidu Tieba, which I just explained is the largest Chinese online community, and also Baidu Drive. So moving on to the next slide. So Baidu Splash Ads doesn't have the same ad formats as the other like native ads and the DSP. So it only allows two types of ad format. One is static, can last for 3 seconds, or it can be dynamic and last for 5 seconds. You can add a landing page for your splash ad. The way of buying splash ad is also different. So for all the by running splash ads, you have the opportunity to reach out to all Baidu users. As I mentioned earlier, Baidu covers 95% of Chinese netizens. So the traffic will be divided into 10. Which means for each rotation you purchase through splash ads, then you will be able to cover 1/10 of the total traffic of Baidu mobile users. To better understand this, so if you select one rotation of Baidu of running Baidu splash ads, then you will be able to reach like 12 million daily page view, and in total it reaches up to 100 million. The average click-through rate for splash ads is around 5% to 7%. And splash ads, so splash ads is definitely eye-catching, but in terms of relevancy is not as relevant as the other types of display ads. While splash ads can also be targeted by interest or demographic and geolocations. However, this in terms of like customer intent or app preferences, and those available for native ads and DSP is not the case for splash ads. So if your objective is to drive to improve your brand awareness or to drive traffic to your website, then splash ads will be the best solution for you, especially when you have like new product launch or to promote, like you have a promotion, then this could be a better option for you. And moving on to the next part, screen metrics ads. So this is one of my favorite parts, as you know, for native ads, DSP ads, and splash ads, they're focused on online. However, moving on to the next slide, screen metrics ads harness the advantages of connecting online to offline. So unlike the conventional way of running outdoor media, with Baidu screen metrics ads, you will be able to run offline ads while based off the data you have in terms of the customer's behavior online. So that could help you to deliver your ads more precisely and effectively, instead of just spending money on the offline media resources. And the reason why Screen Metrics is working in China is also a different insight that you probably would like to know comparing to the Western market, because although we are also exposed to like many digital screens in public, however, there's much more that you will see in China. If you have been to China before, then you probably know what I'm saying. Let me give you a few examples. So imagine you getting a cab in China, then you will see a screen just right behind the seat of the driver. And during the trip, then you will be able to interact with the screen, and you will see like videos, advertisements, and like information. And also, like if you going to like one of the shopping malls in China, in the bathroom, and you will see even a digital screen in the mirror that right in front of you. So this is how widely and regularly that you'll be exposed to digital screens in China. And that's why leveraging Screen Metric ads can help you to reach out to the customers in China in a very exclusive way. And moving on to the next slide. So here are the examples of what kind of offline things that you can have your ads like showing to the customers. It could be on the smart TV, or even when the customers are staying at home, or when they're in public places. And it can be on like cinema, vending machine screens, or it can be just everywhere. So anywhere that you see a digital screen, that you will be able to leverage the Screen Metrics ads and have your ads showcased. And yeah. So next, I'm going to show you an example of how Screen Metrics ads work. As you can see, like when the customer is walking by the digital screen outside of the store, it will identify the profile of each customer and showcase the relevant ad to the customer. Although you probably saw something looks like a face recognition, however, it's not. It's more like identifying the customers through their device ID, and then connects it to the massive online data that the Baidu has in their database, and to help you to deliver the ads like to the relevant customers. So just like as you just saw, Screen Metric ads is definitely eye-catching, but it also depends on the media where you show your Screen Metrics ads. If you click on the slide, yeah, and for Screen Metric ads is also relevant. So this is something very unique, and to leverage Screen Metric ads, because you can target them based on their like interests or search behavior. Like for example, if they have searched something at home through their mobile phone, and let's say like Apple iPad Air 4, which was launched yesterday. So and then next, when they walking into a shopping mall, where you probably see a digital screen there, and then you could be targeted and then showcase the APAC for that you were interested and searched on your mobile phone before. Cool. Just to wrap up, what's the pricing model of the 4 types of display ads that you can use. For splash ads, as I mentioned, that's the relevancy would be less than the other 3 types. So it's only for CPT, cost per time, and the CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions buying. So it's for if your objective is to drive awareness and traffic, then splash ad would be your best choice. While for native ads and DSP ads, also screen metrics ads, real-time bidding is available. So this can help you to achieve better results if you would like to drive like qualified traffic or leads or sales. And yeah, that's all for display that we would like to share with you in today's session.
Thank you, Zi, for your introduction. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like as a wrap up for today. So thank you guys very much for your time. So I'm just gonna yeah. So as we kind of like mentioned today at the beginning of the session, so ForwardPMX is the official partner for Baidu, for Baidu's activities like paid search or even display or SEO, etc. So we're also the certified agency for Baidu to open up the accounts for worldwide international clients as well. We also have local offices sitting globally as North America, APAC, Europe, etc. And we are able to offer global supports across the markets as well. So feel free to let us know before we get into the final Q&A section. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any queries in terms of Baidu or even digital marketing across APAC markets, and we'll be more than happy to help you guys. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna hand over to Felicity, she'll take you through and see if you guys have any questions. Feel free to pop up into the Q&A session as well.
Yes, thank you, Claire, and thank you guys. That was an amazing session. We do actually have time for a question or two. We've had one come through already, so I'll throw that out to the session leaders. So the question we've had is, what is the most common mistake you see brands making when they expand into China for the first time? So thank you for that question.
Cool. So in terms of I would say like China is like a very huge market, and often as a brand we do see like a lot of new things are happening, and the customers are like like a lot easier to accept new things, I would say, compared to a lot of the markets. So a lot of brands usually rush into China market and saying like we would like to get into the market, but we know who our customers are and we know what we want. Can you like give us a couple of recommendations, etc.? And these are our the tactics that will work out in other kind of like APAC markets or in Western markets. But as we mentioned like earlier in the session today, I would say like as China is such a unique market, and a lot of the platforms or like digital medias that the users are using are not widely seen in Western worlds or even in any other parts of the APAC countries. So always bring like a localized insights or like a tailored strategy to the market is more important than ever. And as we kind of like open up with the session, there is a footprint that you can see, like a very complex digital journey throughout Chinese customers' daily life. And without being like exaggerated at all, that is like the most like widely seen digital footprint. So it is literally so complex and so different. And we are seeing users like from 10 years old to even like 60 years old, because everyone is using WeChat, everyone is using Baidu. They're the new era of the internet users. So always bring you guys, like bring yourself a lot of questions and look into what exactly are the goals that you would like to achieve in the markets. And if you have any insights that would certainly help, or you can always come to us to like have if you want to have deeper dive understanding to the markets and also the digital landscape. And cool.
Thank you for that, Claire. We have actually had another question come through. So do you recommend getting a .cn domain name as a first step?
I'm gonna take this one. So this is Yan speaking. Let me just turn my camera on. It's not working. Before I talking about this question, I want to add one more thing about the previous questions about the common mistake people made when they're entering China. So very quick answer is to do not to use the wrong benchmark. So if you use the wrong benchmark, you will have the wrong expectation. I have so many successful case studies around that area, that some company coming into the market and they don't see what they want to see, but after try different strategy, different type of activities, and turns out it works well. So yeah, so don't expect you're gonna win the game in the first round. Right, so the second question about the .cn domain as a first step, I think in one of the moments when you're expanding into China, you possibly would need a .cn domain, which will that you will get a lot of beneficial, but this is certainly not the first step, because it will cost you a lot of effort, and also you need to move the servers, you have to do a lot of paperwork. It's just not worth it. I think in this market, if you do a try testing, don't need to bother about changing the domain yet. However, we have a lot of examples again, the client come in, want to expand into China, and the first thing we check is the site speed. Because there's a lot of regulation, a lot of possibly the firewall, not all the websites, especially international websites, working in the market. So that's the first thing you want to know, is your site speed is doing okay. It doesn't have to be as quick as the local domains, but as long as it's under 3 seconds or around that range, I think the consumer would have that patience to wait. So don't change the domain yet, just looking at the speed and possibly thinking about the service, change the web service if the speed is really slow. And then the next step, if you definitely committed to the market, and then possibly thinking about the domain. Cool. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much for that answer, Yan. So I think we're just out of time. So again, thank you so much everyone for joining us. And if you did have a question or you think of one after this session, please don't hesitate to get in touch and we'll answer you as soon as possible. So please stay safe. And if you have any more questions or comments, don't hesitate to get in touch. And thank you very much, everyone.